In August, the San Diego Workforce Partnership will be holding community forums to learn how they can better serve our local workforce.
Yeah, the nonprofit provides job training, career services, and workforce development programs throughout the county. And joining us right now to tell us more about what they hope to accomplish is Tony Young, the interim president and CEO of San Diego Workforce Partnership. Tony, great to see you. Thanks for coming in.
It's great being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Tell us what these forums are all about, what the goal is ultimately.
Well, if you can imagine our workforce in the future and how do we prepare our workforce to address the economic issues that San Diego is going to face and our goals, our vision for that, our job is to help prepare those people to work in those economies. And we want to hear from businesses, labor organizations, education leaders to hear what they think we should do to support them in their quest.
So where are these forums taking place and how do people take part?
Well, the thing is, the Workforce Partnership is an organization that represents the entire county of San Diego. So everywhere from Oceanside to Chula Vista, we'll have these forums. Some of them will be community forums, just kind of asking the regular person what they think we should be doing. And then there will be other breakout sessions related to different industries. So that will be centralized so everybody can get there during their lunch hour or breakfast hour.
Yeah. Tony, tell us what you think some of the biggest issues are right now when it comes to the San Diego workforce as a whole.
Yeah, the biggest issue is making sure that we can anticipate what is needed in our economy when it comes to our workforce. Understanding what's going to be there, what we need in the future, how we're going to be competitive regionally and nationally, and making sure that we're in line with the other stakeholders that are interested in this issue.
You've been pretty busy this year, I take it. Tell us a little bit about what you've been working on.
So it's really about creating an organization that really supports, the needs and vision of our other stakeholders, the county, the city, different entities that do work in our space. And so what we try to do is make sure our organization is structured in a way and focused in a way that really supports all of the efforts that are going around in the region when it comes to workforce development.
Have there been a lot of changes when it comes to the workforce, whether it's AI comes this way and affects us some way, right? Or the economy changes, inflation, people changing jobs, quiet quitting. Tell us some of the things that are evolving when it comes to this issue.
First of all of those above, number one, all the things that you said. I mean, when you think about AI, that is a fascinating part of our visioning. It's like, what jobs are going to be around in the future, in the next 5 years? What types of opportunities does AI present, and what kind of issues that might it present to us in a negative perspective, right? And so how do we prepare our community for that, especially some of the communities that I've served most of the time of my life here in San Diego? How do we make sure that some of these communities that are literally on the peripheral of economic opportunities, how do we support them and make sure that they're ready to do that work?
If you could look into your crystal ball, how will it affect us? You mean in a positive way and a negative way?
And how do you help people evolve with that?
Yeah, how I look at AI is I look at it this way. When the automobile was introduced into Western society, or in the world really, everybody was very upset. I'm sure the people who supported horses and made the iron workers that made the horseshoes, they were probably very concerned that they'd lose their job, and they probably did. But they had an opportunity to move on and work in those industries, in those factories, to make sure that they had opportunity to do work. So I think what's going to happen is that we're going to have new opportunities because of AI, and that we're going to have more opportunities for people to work in those places.
How exactly can people sign up or find out exactly where it is in their neighborhood?
Yeah, get on our website, workforce.org, and there'll be a section where you can get on and sign up for one of these forums. We're definitely filling up fast. There's a lot of interest in this. And if you do that, we'll make sure that you'll get an opportunity to be able to provide input on where we should go in the future.
It's a lot of that unknown, right? That we're trying to figure out together. Is that kind of the goal here of these forums?
Yeah, right? and the Workforce Partnership should not be telling folks this is what we're going to do in the future. We should be listening and trying to incorporate these ideas so that we have a real plan that incorporates everybody moving forward.
It takes a village to figure out what's going on with the village, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And again, we have a link also with all the information we've been talking about as well on our website, fox5sandiego.com.
Thank you so much.
All right, there's the information right there on your screen.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we've got it right there.